When I was a junior at Northwood High, our headmistress, Miss Albright, introduced an incredibly restrictive dress code that seemed primarily aimed at the female student body. It dictated no exposed shoulders, knees, or collarbones. This meant that common summer dresses, comfortable shorts, and even some school-approved sweaters were suddenly deemed non-compliant. The stark contrast was immediately apparent. Boys, however, faced no such limitations. They were free to wear sleeveless tops and short athletic shorts, and during gym class, they could even go shirtless right outside our classroom windows. Whenever girls voiced their concerns or tried to reason with her, Miss Albright's response was consistently the same and infuriatingly dismissive. Young ladies must dress respectfully to avoid distracting their male peers. This phrase became a tiresome mantra, underscoring the inherent unfairness and clear gender bias of the new policy. My closest friend, Lena, reached her absolute breaking point one sweltering day in early September. She was unjustly sent home for wearing a simple summer dress. The dress's straps were a modest 3 fingers wide, a width that had previously been considered perfectly acceptable under the old guidelines, but was now arbitrarily deemed to reveal too much shoulder. "This is absurd!" Lena exclaimed, her voice thick with fury as we sat in her car, parked just off school grounds. Her face was flushed crimson, a mixture of anger and the oppressive heat. "I'm missing my advanced algebra test because of a few mere inches of fabric." She gripped the steering wheel tightly, her frustration palpable, almost vibrating in the confined space of the car. It was in that very moment, a flash of pure indignation, that she conceived the most brilliant and audacious strategy I had ever witnessed. A plan that would, in time, fundamentally alter the school's landscape. Lena dedicated the entire weekend to an exhaustive and meticulous research effort. She immersed herself in the intricate details of school board regulations, state education statutes, and federal anti-discrimination laws. Her workspace, her bedroom, was transformed into a veritable war room, cluttered with stacks of legal books, countless printouts, and highlighted texts. This wasn't merely an act of rebellion. It was a comprehensive, almost academic investigation. Her diligent study yielded a crucial discovery. Miss Albright's newly implemented dress code had never undergone the formal approval process by the school board. This was a clear, undeniable violation of established district protocol. This significant revelation became the cornerstone of her meticulously crafted plan, providing the legal leverage she needed.
That Monday morning, Lena arrived at school wearing the exact same summer dress that had, just days before, led to her unjust expulsion from classes. She walked through the bustling corridor with an unwavering confidence, drawing curious glances but exhibiting no discernible signs of nervousness. Her demeanor was calm, almost serene, a stark contrast to the usual apprehension of students facing disciplinary action. When Miss Albright, ever vigilant, spotted her in the hallway, her face visibly reddened, a mixture of immediate anger and profound surprise. "Miss Davies," she declared, her voice sharp and laced with authority, "I informed you that attire is unsuitable. Report to my office immediately." Lena, however, did not flinch. Instead, she offered a sweet, almost disarming smile, her expression calm and self-assured. "Actually, Miss Albright," she began, her voice clear and steady, "I need to discuss something with you first." With that, she produced a substantial folder, thick with meticulously organized documents, and calmly handed one to Miss Albright. "This is a formal grievance filed with the school board regarding your unauthorized dress code policy. I've also dispatched copies to the district superintendent and the State Department of Education." Miss Albright's eyes widened perceptibly as she rapidly scanned the papers, her face betraying a growing sense of panic and disbelief. "You see," Lena continued, her voice resonating through the hallway, drawing the attention of an increasing number of students who began to gather, forming an impromptu audience. "Implementing policy changes without board approval contravenes District Code 47B. Furthermore, enforcing disparate standards based on gender constitutes discrimination under Title IX." She then added with chilling precision that she had meticulously collected evidence of 47 specific instances of discriminatory dress code enforcement, each case thoroughly documented with dates, names, and descriptions. The hallway was now densely packed, a hushed crowd of students, many of whom were already pulling out their phones to record the unfolding scene. Lena, seizing the moment, announced that she had contacted the local news, who were very interested in a story about a school administrator who believed that girls' shoulders are more distracting than boys' education. Miss Albright, visibly flustered and attempting to avert a public scandal, suggested a private conversation in her office, but Lena firmly declined. She then, to the astonishment of many, publicly announced a peaceful protest scheduled for that Friday, freedom of expression for education. She emphasized, with legalistic clarity, that peaceful protest was explicitly protected under the First Amendment and the landmark Supreme Court case of Tinker v. Des Moines, thereby making her planned demonstration entirely legal. Miss Albright, desperate, attempted to snatch the folder from Lena's grasp, but Lena deftly stepped back, stating calmly that the originals were already safely with the school board, and, almost as an afterthought, added that Channel 7 News would indeed be there on Friday to cover the event. The moment Lena disappeared into her classroom, Miss Albright's carefully constructed facade of authority completely shattered. She stood frozen in the middle of the corridor, clutching Lena's documents with trembling hands, her face a ghastly pale, a mixture of shock, fury, and dawning realization. I watched from my locker as she frantically speed-dialed someone on her phone, her voice barely a whisper, yet strained with urgency. "This is an emergency. I need the school board chairman on the line immediately. We have a situation." By lunchtime, news of Lena's audacious stand had spread like wildfire throughout the entire school. Her group chat exploded, its membership soaring past 300 within a few hours. I found Lena in the library during our free period, surrounded by towering stacks of legal texts and meticulously organized research materials. She explained, with a newfound clarity, that Miss Albright's dress code was not merely unfair, but potentially illegal under federal law. She cited a specific case from Wisconsin where a school district had been compelled to pay a staggering $75,000 in damages for enforcing discriminatory rules. "You see," Lena said, her eyes gleaming with a fierce determination, "they're going to panic when they realize the full financial and legal ramifications of this."
As if summoned by her words, Miss Albright soon appeared at the library entrance, accompanied by the school's guidance counselor, Miss Evans. Miss Albright's face was taut with barely suppressed tension. "Miss Javies, I need to speak with you immediately," she called out, her voice echoing unnaturally in the quiet library. Lena, ever composed, calmly replied, "Would you prefer to discuss your illegal dress code policy here in the presence of all these witnesses, or should we go somewhere more private?" Lena then firmly insisted on the presence of witnesses and the recording of their conversation for her legal documentation, a demand Miss Albright vehemently refused. "Then there will be no conversation," Lena stated smoothly, pulling out a business card. She calmly informed Miss Albright that she had legal counsel from her uncle's law firm and had also contacted the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, who were actively interested in her case. Lena then delivered her ultimatum. Miss Albright had until Friday to either reinstate the old dress code or explain her discriminatory stance to Channel 7 News. Miss Albright's face turned ashen, and she abruptly fled the library, leaving Lena standing victorious among the bookshelves. That afternoon, I drove Lena home and watched in awe as she transformed her bedroom into a genuine command center. Research printouts adorned the walls, a detailed timeline of discriminatory incidents was meticulously mapped out on a whiteboard, and multiple laptops hummed simultaneously, displaying legal documents and case studies. She was methodically documenting every single discriminatory incident. Most damningly, she uncovered an email from Miss Albright to the faculty where the headmistress explicitly emphasized maintaining appropriate standards for our young ladies and instructed teachers that girls needed to dress modestly to avoid distracting boys. "This is proof," Lena stated grimly, her voice low and serious, "that the discrimination was intentional and systemic." That evening, my older sister called, her voice buzzing with excitement, to report that hashtag freedom of expression for education had become a national trending topic on social media. Girls from other schools, inspired by Lena's bravery, were reaching out for advice on how to organize their own protests.
Lena might have started a movement that extends far beyond our school, she marveled. Tuesday morning brought the first visible cracks in Miss Albright's authority. She stood at the school entrance with a measuring tape, physically assessing the length of girls' shorts and skirts while boys walked past unchecked. Lena calmly confronted her, citing the official dress code which contained no such requirements. She also pointed out that physical measurements could constitute inappropriate contact. "Miss Albright, you are fabricating rules as you go along," Lena declared. Miss Albright attempted to discipline Lena for insubordination, but Lena calmly countered that she was merely exercising her rights. Miss Albright, defeated, retreated, leaving her measuring tape on the floor. Wednesday brought powerful reinforcements, representatives from the State Department of Education and the ACLU. Miss Rodriguez from the Department of Education confirmed that Miss Albright's dress code violated state education code and federal anti-discrimination laws. When Miss Albright emerged, she was confronted by the investigators, who presented photographic evidence of the blatant double standards. Miss Albright, realizing every word was being documented, stated she would consult her legal team. That's probably wise, the ACLU's Mr. Chen agreed, because this case is heading to federal court. Miss Albright, her face pale with fear, fled once more.
Thursday brought widespread chaos. News of the state investigation leaked. Parents flooded the district office with calls, and news vans were parked outside the school. Miss Albright conveniently called in sick, and the beloved vice principal, Miss Davis, took over as acting principal. The palpable relief throughout the school was immense. Lena, though victorious in this particular battle, understood that the broader fight for student rights was far from over. That afternoon, the school board convened an emergency meeting, open to the public. The auditorium was packed. Chairman Dr. Evans cautiously addressed the crowd, promising a full investigation and the reversal of any invalid policies. Lena then spoke from the heart, her voice resonating with conviction. She passionately urged the board to act on her recommendations, not merely consider them. "Students across this district are watching," she declared, "to see whether you'll protect our rights or protect the administrators who violated them." Her words were met with thunderous applause and a standing ovation. Friday morning dawned like a true celebration. The protest was scheduled for 7:30 a.m., but students began gathering even earlier. The parking lot quickly filled with girls and boys proudly wearing their previously banned clothing, creating a vivid and intentional contrast. News channels arrived, and Sarah Miller from Channel 7 News surveyed the crowd with obvious satisfaction. Miss Davis, the new acting principal, announced that the dress code had officially reverted to the board-approved guidelines, and all related disciplinary actions would be expunged from student records. She also announced new training for administrators and a student rights workshop featuring Lena. Miss Davis then confirmed that Miss Albright was no longer employed by this district, and that she herself was the new permanent principal. The crowd erupted in joyous cheers. The district superintendent, Mr. Thompson, made an unexpected appearance, personally apologizing to Lena and her peers. He then offered Lena an internship with the district's policy review committee, acknowledging her exceptional leadership and research skills. As news crews filmed this pivotal moment, I realized I was witnessing something truly historic. The story quickly went viral. Hashtag freedom of expression for education became a global hashtag, inspiring students worldwide. Lena was invited to speak at conferences, interviewed by national media, and received multiple university scholarship offers. More importantly, schools across the country began reviewing their own policies. The Department of Education issued new guidelines on gender discriminatory policies, and the ACLU launched a nationwide initiative to protect student rights. Miss Albright never worked in education again. 2 years later, Lena, as valedictorian, delivered a powerful graduation speech centered on the profound impact of individual action in creating systemic change. "They told us we were just students," she reminded the audience. "They told us to follow the rules without questioning them. They were wrong. Students have power. We have rights. And when we stand together, we can change the world one discriminatory policy at a time." Her speech was met with a 5-minute standing ovation.
Today, Lena is in her 3rd year at Columbia Law School, specializing in civil rights and education law. She still keeps that original folder of documents as a tangible reminder of what one determined individual, armed with a deep understanding of the law, can truly achieve. The school now features a permanent display in the main hallway, photographs from the protests, copies of the legal documents, and a timeline of the resulting policy changes. New students learn this inspiring story as part of their orientation. It serves as a potent reminder that authority without accountability is tyranny, that students are not merely bodies to be controlled, but citizens with inherent rights. And that sometimes the most powerful rebellion isn't about breaking the rules, but about knowing them better than those attempting to enforce them. And every autumn, when news stories emerge about new dress code controversies in schools nationwide, I recall that crisp Friday morning when over 200 students stood together and declared, "Enough." Change sometimes requires only one person brave enough to say, "This is wrong," and smart enough to prove it. Lena Davies proved that student voices matter, that justice can prevail, and that a simple summer dress can indeed be a weapon of mass instruction. The revolution wasn't televised. It was live-streamed, hashtagged, and meticulously documented for a federal discrimination lawsuit that ultimately settled for an undisclosed amount. And it all began with a girl who simply refused to let anyone tell her that her shoulders were more perilous than her intellect.